Hi, this is Irina Nik from Tech Foundation. In this video, we are going to review how artificial intelligence will change design in the future. Let's go. So the last year, 2022, was the year of generative AI. You've probably seen a lot of examples of generated images by DALL-E or Midjourney, and also you've seen a lot of examples of generated text by ChatGPT. And even from these examples, it's already obvious that it has huge potential to change how we do design. But we should remember that generative AI is not the only type of artificial intelligence that is there. And in the last video, we've actually discussed different artificial intelligence models and how do they work. And in this video, we are going to discuss how each of these models can affect the design in the future. Will be there even such a job as a designer, or will it become obsolete because artificial intelligence will be able to do what we are doing now? So let's discuss it in more details. Probably the AI model with the biggest potential is GPT. It is a large language model that is capable to understand text and give human-like answers. The potential is so big that Google even issued a code red alert regarding this model, and now they are redirecting their resources to the research of large language models. And in this year, 2023, Google even planned to launch their own large language model that is Lambda. But this model is already very powerful. So let's think how it will change design and also how it will affect other industries. ChatGPT looks like chat, and no wonder that when we think about the potential of this model, the first thing that comes to mind is chat interactions, like customer service, for example, or consulting. And certainly these areas will be hugely affected by these artificial intelligence models. We will see less demand for customer service specialists because ChatGPT or other large language models will be able to give useful answers to the users and customers. Because currently, of course, when we are speaking with a chatbot, it usually gives you useless answers, and the only purpose of this chatbot is to convince it to connect you to the human operator. But it will certainly change, and ChatGPT can be trained on the use case per each industry and per each company. So you could actually train ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, but you could train GPT model. Give this model a lot of conversations that you already have with customer service support, and it will pick the answers, it will pick the situations, and will be able to give similar responses to the new customers. The second most obvious application of ChatGPT and large language models in general is, of course, content creation and marketing. Because, of course, this is what content creators and marketing people need, is a lot of text. GPT is able to produce marketing text, and actually there are already startups that are using GPT and train this model on marketing cases and marketing text. As the result, you have a large language model that is trained specifically on marketing cases and give you the better outcome than just ChatGPT. So the startup is called Jasper, and this is a large language model that will produce the better result for marketing cases. Of course, you can use also ChatGPT to create scripts, for example, for videos or for presentations. You can create different kind of articles and social media posts. So this model can understand cases, and what is important, it is also able to understand the structure. So the model knows the structure of a social media post. It knows the structure of the article, of the script, it knows the structure of the presentation. So if you ask ChatGPT to give you the script for the presentation, it will start with the introduction and finish with the conclusion. And you'll have a lot of things that are common in the presentation in the middle. This model is also useful for SEO articles. You might notice that many SEO articles on the internet, actually, even if they are created by human, they often don't make sense. It's just a collection of keywords to make you get to this website, but usually it has little meaning. And I'm afraid that ChatGPT will contribute to these useless articles with a lot of keywords, and we will see a lot of this content in the internet in the future. But there are much more implementations of large language models that might not be so obvious as creating text or being a customer service, a chatbot. So one of these is its ability to summarize and analyze text. If you give this model that text, for example, we are designers might give these models a transcript of user research, or a transcript of user interviews, for example, and this model will be able to make a summary of these user interviews. It will be able to analyze it and give you a comprehensive summary. I've tried it. It's not perfect. It gives you quite obvious answers, and currently you still need human attention to go through all the user interview script and make a summary. Of course, it is already augmenting our ability. It is a little bit accelerating the process of user research, but in the future, when these models will grow, when these models will have more data to train on, they will certainly be able to analyze the results better. And actually, if you think about it, you have a lot of information from customers coming from different resources. For example, you might have the conversations on intercom with customer support. You might have a lot of emails from customers. You, of course, have your own data from your own user research activities. And usually it's not only one user interview, for example, but a bunch of activities where you are discovering different topics, if we are talking, of course, about product user research. So I would say that it is quite difficult for a human to comprehend all these results and produce an objective summary, answer, and analysis. There are, of course, techniques to do that, and currently it is done manually. So you have to assemble all the information from the customers in one place, and you have to tag it manually and structure it so it is easy for you to return to this information, to these insights when you're researching a new topic, for example. So I'm doing it in Dovetail, for example, where I am assembling all the user research information that I have. And when I have a new topic, when I'm researching a new opportunity, I return to this information. I find relevant tags and I see what is there already that we know. But artificial intelligence will be certainly able to augment this ability. Currently it is done manually, but I am sure that machine will do it better. You would not need to tag everything manually because machine will be able to understand what the user is talking about to create new tags, use the previous tags. So I think this is definitely a huge potential for artificial intelligence. Also, large language models can be trained to understand the sentiments. And it is also tremendously useful for user research, where you can let your artificial intelligence model go through the transcripts and find the sentiments. For example, when users are not happy about something, when they're confused about something, or the opposite, when they like something and they're happy about it. So I imagine with the advance of artificial intelligence, this user research work will be automated a lot. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't need user researchers, but it means that we as designers will be able to have resources to conduct more research, to find more insights, and to do the better job, because artificial intelligence will do for us all this manual work that we are doing now, and we will be able to focus on the problem and on the people, and not on the hard skill job that we are doing now to make sense of all the information that we gather and to summarize the results of our activity. A large language model also has the ability to understand code. And currently, most of the software engineers that I spoke with are quite skeptical about this ability, because what this model is currently does is just gives you the code that it is seen on the internet somewhere. And usually it is somewhere from Stack Overflow, for example, or from the documentation. And when we are talking about software development for engineers, it is much more useful to go to the documentation themselves and find the answer that they are searching for, because first, they trust this information, unlike ChatGPT. And second, they might have the context of the case that they're researching. Of course, we might imagine that in the future, large language models will be more reliable, and software developers, for example, will be able to use ChatGPT as they are using Google now, so to search for the answers and be sure that they're getting the reliable result. But this is the simplest case, of course, and we still haven't reached even this simplest case. But think for a moment of what might happen if these large language models will be able to generate code themselves, not just give pieces from the examples that are there on the internet, but actually generate something new based on the answer. For example, what if large language model will be able to generate user interface, so the front-end part, maybe without the interaction part because it is still quite complex, but I think it's quite possible to have a simple landing page, maybe not even a simple landing page, generated by artificial intelligence. And I think we could see even this year the first examples of landing pages generated by artificial intelligence. And who knows, maybe in several years' time, these models will be able to generate even something more sophisticated than just a simple landing page. We have reviewed briefly the large language models, and now let's discuss the generative AI that makes images. Such models as DALL-E, Midjourney, or Stable Diffusion. And there are actually much more startups and models that are exploring the visual and graphical part of generative AI. For example, there is a Microsoft Designer. It is currently in the development process, so they haven't launched yet. But what they are building is the tool that will be able to automatically generate pretty presentations for you. And I think for us designers, it's great news that in the nearest future, we won't be bothered by such requests as making a presentation pretty. And certainly this is something that could be automated, and no one will be hurt. Designers again will have more resources on meaningful work, than just pushing pixels. I think it's a great news. Another interesting tool is Runway. So this tool is for video generation, and they are using a different artificial intelligence model to augment this process. Starting from removing background, for example, adding new content to the video, tracking the object, and so on. It is a super interesting tool. I advise you to check them out. Let's return now to Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and DALL-E. These models have already taken some jobs from illustrators. Of course, it's not fair, and we should see if there will be any court cases against these models, especially Midjourney, for example, because this model produced definitely more artistic results, and the reason for this is because their training data was more artistic. So it seems like they have taken the whole art station and trained their model on this digital art. So if these models will be able to get away with these accusations, then we might see more models generated on something visual. For example, why not to take the whole dribble and Mobi, for example, and train the new model to produce the user interface. And at first we might see only PNG images, but we might also train the large language model to do the same in code. So in this case, we might have the whole user interface generated automatically. You might have a simple experiment and ask Midjourney to give you the user interface, the landing page for some product. It will be able to generate dribble-like results. Of course, they will not make sense, so currently it is not possible to use it in real projects because it is not able to take requirements into account. But as I've said, these models can be trained, so we will see the improvements in the future. Also, try as an experiment ChatGPT to generate you a wireframe based on your requirements. I've tried to generate the standard members page and custom form. ChatGPT was actually already able to understand which elements I need for each of my input. Again, the results are very limited and not reliable, but it definitely has a huge potential. I also think that one of the first design industries after the illustration affected by artificial intelligence will be graphic design, because these image generation models are quite good actually and can automate the image generation process. For example, Nutella has used artificial intelligence to design 7 million unique packaging. Nestlé used artificial intelligence for their marketing campaign where they augmented their warmer painting and they've introduced their own product in this painting and they've launched this campaign. It was successful. To give you more examples, Stitch Fix is experimenting with DALL-E to produce clothing based on user requirements such as material, color, fabric, and style. You could also see that some people are experimenting with using artificial intelligence in Figma plugin. Antonio Kaur, for example, have tried to use Stable Diffusion to generate the image based on the sketch in Figma. And again, you could see that the potential is quite high. It enables us designers not to spend much time on the hard skills like illustration, but actually go more creative and outsource the manual work to the artificial intelligence. Generative AI is certainly a powerful sketching tool that will speed up the exploration process. Designers and non-designers are now able to explore massive numbers of alternative directions in a fraction of the time we needed before. Also, Daniel have tried to use artificial intelligence in Figma plugin. So he used GPT API to generate user interface from the text prompt. And this is all only the beginning, of course. Actually, there is already a startup that is exploring the opportunity to generate automatically the whole application based on user input. It is called Builder AI, and they are already using a lot of different artificial intelligence models to speed up the process of building the application. And their ultimate goal to automate the whole process and be able to generate from scratch the new application just based on user input. You remember we've talked about applications of large language models in user research process. There is actually also a startup, a product that is trying to do exactly this. It is called Viable, and this is the tool that is able already to generate a summary based on user feedback. For example, if you ask what is frustrating our customers about the checkout experience, Viable might provide the insights. Customers are frustrated with the checkout flow because it takes too long to load. They also want a way to edit their address in checkout and save multiple payment methods. And this answer will be based on user feedback that you input before. Let's sum up now the insights that I have shared with you and think how design will change in the future and how designers will need to adapt to stay relevant. Artificial intelligence will certainly improve our productivity. We could outsource the manual tasks that are currently taking hours for us to perform. For example, making icons, making illustrations. Actually, there is already a plugin that is able to do so in Figma. Then generating summaries from user research. Of course, it still should have a human to direct the process, but artificial intelligence will certainly be able to accelerate the process of finding insights, of analyzing the information, structuring it properly, and summarizing the bigger amount of information that currently we as humans are able to proceed. So if it will improve our productivity and will take a lot of hard skills work, what will be left for us as designers? The first thing that will be left is, of course, high-level design, so the strategy level. Artificial intelligence will never, or at least not in the nearest future, be able to understand what do we need to research, how do you need to react on our user research results, who do you need to interview. These questions are high-level design thinking process that, of course, should be performed by a human. So artificial intelligence will be this junior designer, so it will be able to perform tasks that currently junior designers perform, and designers will be able to do more exciting and more meaningful work. Also, as artificial intelligence will start to assist in tasks that require hard skills, designers will have more time for activities that require social intelligence. Challenges like how to bring value and delight to people and how they interact with each other and the system, it is hard to outsource to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence might open more opportunities to focus on people and the free resources for human-centric design and accessibility work. Of course, the changing world will bring more challenges for designers. Currently, we also see the research that is going on in metaverse, and already there are virtual reality designers. Currently, most of them are working either in research projects or in games. But in the future, this might be something as common as mobile phone, for example. And these interactions are currently not set. No one knows the best patterns, for example, the best interaction patterns. And artificial intelligence is not able to produce something new. It is able only to produce the results based on the training data, so based on something that it has seen before. And when new challenges will be introduced, first humans have to solve them, and only then we might be able to outsource it to artificial intelligence. We don't know yet what exactly will be automated by artificial intelligence in the nearest future. We can be certain that pixel pushing tasks and routine design work will be automated, but there is certainly a bigger potential for artificial intelligence. So I'm very curious to know your thoughts about it. Maybe you thought about something that I haven't discussed in this video. Please share your thoughts in the comments, and I would be very interested to discuss this topic with you. If you found this video useful, also make sure that you check the previous video where I talk about artificial intelligence models and how do they work. This video will enable you to understand better how artificial intelligence work, and as the result, you might see the more clear picture of how these models will be able to advance. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because here you could find a lot of free and useful resources for designers.